Only the deepest love will persuade me into matrimony, which is why I will end up a poor maid. I wonder who first discovered the power of poetry in driving away love. I thought poetry was the fruit of love. Of a fine stout love it may. But if only a vague inclination, I'm convinced one poor sonnet will kill it stone dead. So what do you recommend to encourage affection? Dancing. But if only into partners barely tolerable. Did you see her ham? 6 inches deep in mud. It's positively medieval. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Natasha and I'm very excited about this video today. Today we're going to be ranking all of Jane Austen's adaptations that I have seen. I love Jane Austen. It's in my soul. I will love it forever and ever and ever. And why should you care about my opinions on ranking all of Jane Austen's adaptations? I have read every single Jane Austen book. I have seen practically every Jane Austen adaptation, even the more modern ones. I haven't seen the really poorly produced and directed ones, so we're not gonna count those. Today's sponsor of the video is St. Martin's Press with their new book coming out, The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. This is her debut novel. It follows a group of 8 who are from a small village, and after World War II, they come together with one passion in mind, and that is Jane Austen. So, just like how I got to read all the Jane Austen books with my group of ostentatious ladies back, what was that, 2017, 2018? I feel quite a kinship to what this story is. Stories bring people together, and especially stories that have passed from generation to generation to generation. And the only reason why I love Jane Austen was because my mom had showed me Emma when I was probably about 5 or 6. This is the distinct memory that I have. My family used to have a cabin up in the mountains, and I just remember seeing this VHS, and it had this really pretty blonde girl, and she had a bow and arrow, and I'm like, what is this? Like, Mom, what is this story about? And she goes, honey, you're gonna be bored. I don't think we should watch it right now. I think you're too young. We did watch it. I didn't fully understand, but I grasped onto the costumes and the set designs and the era, and it just intrigued me from that point on. I feel like I am a Jane Austen aficionado. One of my greatest dreams is to go to the Jane Austen Festival in Bath. Oh, I want to live the life. Thank you so much to St. Martin's for kindly sending me this book and allowing me to read it very early. This comes out on May 26th, so you can pre-order it right now, and then I'll be at your doorstep, hopefully soon. If you ever watched the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society, you know, the one with Lily James on Netflix, this is in that same vein. It's all about how the story connects these people together and them trying to cope with the destruction that has happened in their worlds. That's what we do on the internet, right? This virus has come and destroyed our society, and all we're doing is trying to cope with everyone on the internet and trying to connect with those people. I highly suggest you guys pick it up. I'll leave the link in the description box down below if this sounds interesting to you. If you're a fan of Jane Austen, I'm sure you're gonna love this video. I'm sure you've probably already seen all these adaptations. I always want to see other people's opinions. However, disclaimer, don't get mad at me if I rank something that's lower that you loved. This is just my opinion, and we're here to have fun. Kindly disagree or agree with me down in the comments below. If you've never seen a Jane Austen film, welcome. This video is for you. I will tell you where to start. Maybe if those movies interest you, then you can kind of trickle down the list. Pretty much 10 and up are like my favorites of all time, and then 10 below are like my least favorites. I have seen it almost every single Jane Austen adaptation that there is, but there are some weird ones that I just won't make myself watch. I've even seen the 1940s Pride and Prejudice, which I don't love, okay? It's not great. The costuming and the time period is completely wrong, and it irritates the crap out of me, so I can't watch that film. It's like if Pride and Prejudice were set during Gone with the Wind. Yeah, it's like Pride and Prejudice during the Civil War times. No. Starting at the bottom. Number 15, Love and Friendship. This is a masterpiece classic short mini-series that premiered back in 2016 with Kate Beckinsale. It is after Jane Austen's unfinished novella, Lady Susan. Lady Susan is one of her more like comedic stories. This one just did not hit home for me. We follow an older woman who was trying to set up her daughter to be married, and then she wants to rekindle a love with an old flame. I can enjoy it for the acting and for some of the silliness. It's just not my favorite. Usually when I watch a Jane Austen film, I want to feel some like passion or sauciness. A lot of times these adaptations, the problems that I have with them is casting. Casting is key in Jane Austen's novels. Nothing wrong with Kate Beckinsale. I just don't love this story, and it's just not my fave. But if you love Jane Austen, I would still watch it. You know, some people have differing opinions, especially when we were doing our ostentatious live shows. Our favorite books differed from each person, and that's just preference. I have another video where I rank all of Jane Austen's novels. You can go click that above. Number 14, Mansfield Park, the 1995 version. This is one that I don't love the casting. I have a particular weird things with certain actors, and I just don't always love the actor. So if I don't love the actor, like the main actress in this film, she's just not one of my favorite actresses. I just don't think there's really anything special about her. She's the main character, so like the whole movie, you're just unimpressed. But Mansfield Park is not the greatest Jane Austen story. It's actually my least favorite book out of the 7 she has published. It's weird. It's about two cousins falling in love. I much prefer a different version, which I will talk about. A lot of you are going to be upset of where I ranked this film. So this is the new Emma that just came out in 2019. A lot of you have probably not even seen it because it came out in early access because of quarantine, and I was so excited to see this film. This was my birthday film. I didn't get to go see it in theater. I watched it like on a chat with my friends. I was thoroughly unimpressed. Emma's story is more comedic, and she's quite a hard character to like. I loved Gwyneth Paltrow's performance, and even the BBC version, which you'll find that's higher up in my list. It tried to hit some weird comedic beats. The whole declaration of the characters expressing how much they love each other was just, it ruined everything, okay? They've known each other for years and years, and then it was just ruined by comedy, and I did not like it. I didn't feel any of the sexual tension in between the two characters. I think the main problem was the casting. I loved the main actress that they picked for Emma. She's been very popular recently. But the guy that they picked for Knightley, he wasn't old enough, and the whole problem with Emma is that Knightley is like 15 years older than her. He wasn't daddy enough, okay? That's the problem. He was too young, and so when he reprimanded her, it was more of like a peer reprimanding her than more of like a older guy, and like that is the appeal of their whole relationship. I think the rest of the cast was great. Harriet and Miss Bates were the best of that whole film. The Frank Churchill and Robert Martin drama, it was confusing because it's confusing in the books. You didn't feel any of the emotions that you were supposed to feel when you read the books or you watched different adaptations. Just, they didn't really explain that drama very succinctly. I had huge expectations for that film, and they were squandered. Mansfield Park. This is the Masterpiece miniseries of Billie Piper. I actually really enjoyed this one. I love Billie Piper. When I saw that she played the main character in Mansfield Park, I was like, yes, this is the one I choose to watch, and then I watched the other one. It's longer. I think it's like 2 episodes. A lot of these things you can find on Amazon or Hulu. Sometimes you have to buy them. This one's on Amazon Prime. Again, Mansfield Park is not my favorite story, but this one was enjoyable, and I think you guys should give it a try if you're interested in wanting to know all of Jane Austen's stories without having to read them. But I encourage you all to read Jane Austen's books just so that you can say you read them. Number 11, Persuasion, the 2007, which I think is on par with the 1995 version. Although I really want to rewatch this as I've gotten older and have experienced more things. I feel like I would connect more to Persuasion. Actually, I think this Persuasion was on the bottom of my list because I just fully did not understand it. I would have a lot in common with Anne Elliot right now, so I'm gonna actually watch this tonight because I was watching like little scenes from both of the films. This book that Jane Austen wrote is not very comedic at all. There's lots of angst in it. Now that I'm remembering it, why did I put it at the bottom of my list? It's not at the bottom of my list anymore. The 1995 version, you actually have to rent it, and then the other version, which was from 2006, the main actress from, what was that movie that won the Academy Award where she had sex with a fish? She's the main character. Anne Elliot. Number 10, Northanger Abbey. One of my favorite books. Northanger Abbey is Jane Austen's first book, which is a parody of the Gothic romance novel. Catherine, who's the main character in Northanger Abbey, she's very young and naive and innocent. I love this movie because it has Felicity Jones in it. She plays the main character. And then of course J.J. Field, who's like a mixture between Tom Hiddleston and... This one's delightful, and I love the cast in this, and it's just great. You guys should watch it. Number 9. So this is the Emma with Gwyneth Paltrow from 1996. I love this version. I like the Masterpiece one better. I just recently watched it with my brother. When you watch Emma, you have to fully have your attention on the film because it is confusing, all the different relationships, how they're friendly with one another. I love this one. I love Mr. Knightley in this one. I think he's the best Knightley, the actor who played him. Number 8, Sense and Sensibility, the Masterpiece BBC miniseries. I think there's 2 episodes. This one has Michael from Downton Abbey, also, what is his name? Dan Stevens in it. He's very young, not as handsome as he is now. I love this version because it's the whole book. Sense and Sensibility is my favorite book. Not my favorite adaptation, but definitely my favorite to read. I loved all the familial connections in it. It wasn't so much focused on like society gossip, but more of family in that relationship. It is an incredible story, and you should definitely start with Sense and Sensibility, especially if you have time and you want to kind of immerse yourself in the whole story. This one is so good. It's on Amazon Prime, and I think it's also on Hulu. Now, number 7 is the Emma Masterpiece BBC adaptation. This is, I think, is 3 episodes. Emma is Jane Austen's biggest book, so that's why it's so confusing when you're trying to condense it into one movie. If you want to fully grasp the Emma story, you need to watch this BBC version. This will help explain. It has every single scene almost in the book. Ramala Garare, during this time, like at the end of like 2008, 2009, she was literally in every historical fiction miniseries ever. This is my favorite role because I feel like Emma is much more like her personality. I don't particularly love this actress, but I think she did a great job. We watch every single adaptation that there is because we can't get enough of Jane Austen. I don't care if they make 5 different million adaptations of Pride and Prejudice. I will watch them all. Number 6. This is the Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth. Don't yell at me. I know everyone redeems this as the best adaptation. They love it so much. It's not that great, okay? It really isn't. I watched it. I've seen it about 5 times. I love it. It's not that great. You want to know why? Because that one scene part where like they're reading each other's letters and they're going back and forth and they're just getting like and they're reading out loud, or it's like coming from, like she starts reading in her head and then it comes out of her mouth and then she just gets so angry reading the letter from Darcy, and then Darcy's like reading it and then he's getting all aggravated. It's the stupidest scene ever in Jane Austen adaptation, okay? Don't fight me. It's a dumb scene. Now, we do have the wonderful scene of Colin Firth coming out of the lake. It's a great scene, so that's why it's number 6. You can watch this one on Amazon, I think. Yes, I'm sure you can. I didn't watch this one for the longest time. I think I finally saw it back in 2013 when we had the capabilities of watching and streaming things. While I didn't include any of the modern adaptations of Pride and Prejudice, I did choose some adaptations that were set in the historical time period, but not this one. This is the exception. This is number 5. This is Austenland. This is a modern adaptation of a book set around the life and times of a woman who's obsessed with Jane Austen. If you have not watched this film, do yourself a favor and watch it. It is amazing. J.J. Field is also in this one. It's great. I really want Tom Hiddleston just to like play Mr. Darcy. Please do yourself a favor and watch it. Rent it during quarantine. Just watch it. It's so good. It's funny. It's hilarious. Kerry Russell does an amazing job as the main character, and you are her if you love Jane Austen. And it's just completely self-aware. And Stephanie Meyer produced it, so. Number 4! This is Sense and Sensibility, the one with Emma Thompson from 1995 that won a Golden Globe for Best Screenplay Adaptation. This is one of the earlier ones I watched too when I was younger, and this is just the best Sense and Sensibility. This movie can do no wrong. Kate Winslet is in it. It is a good kind of beginner into Jane Austen if you've never watched Jane Austen before. Professor Snape is in it. Sometimes, you know, I really love the cliche of like an older man with a young lady, and I'm sorry, but I love it. This one does miss a couple of the key scenes, which I do think the Masterpiece Classic has in it. That's always the problem with the movies compared to the like miniseries. Number 3! This is not a direct adaptation of Jane Austen, but you must watch it. This is Death Comes to Pemberley. This was a book, and then they adapted it, another Masterpiece Classic. I love Masterpiece. I'm just gonna be like one of those old ladies. I already am. I've come to accept it. I love Masterpiece. I will watch any type of historical, romantic drama. Just please make more. But this is amazing. I think there's 3 episodes in this. It follows Pride and Prejudice when Lizzie and Mr. Darcy have kids. Now, I don't love the main actress that they picked for Lizzie. She's a great actress, just not my Lizzie. Even Mr. Darcy, not my favorite guy. But he's actually real life married to Carrie Russell, who is in Austenland. It's a mystery surrounding a murder that happened at Pemberley. There's Kitty and Wickham. They're married. Mr. Bingley and Jane, and they're married. Like a Jane Austen fanfiction. And you must watch it. And just like a fun, like good mystery. Number 2! Y'all know my top. I talk about it all the time, but number 2, this one's new. Sanditon. I watched this in like 3 days because I wanted to savor it. There's 6 or 8 episodes. It's a Masterpiece miniseries. We're hoping that they renew it for a 2nd season. I think they're talking about it. They said that they weren't going to, but I think that there's a lot of hype around it, and I think that they might be. This is Jane Austen's unfinished novel. So Lady Susan was an unfinished novella. Sanditon was an unfinished novel. She died before it got to be finished. There's not an ending to the story, so they could take it wherever they wanted. Theo James. He's in it. That's all I need to say. If you are a thirsty lady like me and you love those long stares and they just want to be with each other and there's tension and they bicker and it's just great. Enemies to lovers. And it's fantastic. And I want to watch it again. I'm not talking about the ending. I would just stop watching it like 20 minutes before the last episode ends, so that maybe you can just sit in like your happy place and maybe that they'll make a 2nd season. Watch the ending when they confirm a 2nd season. You need to watch this. If you love Pride and Prejudice, you need to watch this, okay? Number 1. Pride and Prejudice 2005 with Keira Knightley. Not only this is my favorite Jane Austen film, this is my favorite movie of all time. I saw this movie when I was in 5th grade. I was obsessed with Keira Knightley. I have seen this film probably over 500 times. It's on par with how many times I've seen Twilight, okay? I used to fall asleep to it every single night. I have great memories with my mom watching it together. This film is just everything. Soundtrack, art design, sets, location, costumes. They won Best Costume for the Oscars. Cast. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I love Keira Knightley. She's amazing as Lizzie Bennet. It is my quintessential film. I watch it once a month. I actually got Alex to watch it with me a couple weeks ago, and I finally got to learn him the powers of Pride and Prejudice 2005 version. And I fall asleep to the soundtrack all the time. If you have not watched it, do yourself a favor and watch it. I bought it so I can watch it all the time on Amazon. I have the DVD. Used to be on Netflix, not anymore. This is the best film of all time, in my opinion. Some honorable mentions. Obviously, Clueless is an adaptation of Emma. There's Bridget Jones, which is also an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. These are all like the modern ones. Becoming Jane, which is a story about Jane Austen with Anne Hathaway. It's pretty interesting. You should watch it. Not my favorite thing. Lost in Austen. Such a fun like miniseries. It's another BBC thing. Weird at first. You kind of have to get into it like the first 2 episodes. And then of course there's the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which not my favorite thing. I don't love it. A lot of people love it a lot. It's just not my thing. I've seen everything. Just not my thing. I don't know. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to pre-order your copy of the Jane Austen Society if you want to keep your Jane Austen spirit alive. Right now, I'm gonna go eat some dinner and I'm gonna go watch Persuasion because I need to be reminded. Let me know what your favorite Jane Austen adaptations are. Leave them down below in the comments. Would love to discuss with you all. I'm Natasha. I try to make videos as often as possible, especially during quarantine. So subscribe, press that notification button if you have not already to be notified when I post new videos. I will see you guys on the future. Keep calm and fangirl on. Bye!